oh, you're anti-immigrant. I'm not anti-immigrant. My parents are immigrants,
yes.
Okay? I am not anti-immigrant. But I do have a problem with the Biden administration neglecting the border, pretending like there wasn't a migrant crisis at all.
I'm seeing a lot of immigrants do this, or child of immigrants do this, especially on the left, and it's really starting to piss me the fuck off. It's the same rhetoric. I'm the child of immigrants, but my family did it the right way. Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Ariana Jasmine, and today we're going to be talking about Anna Kasparian going on Glenn Beck's show. I've been asked to react to this by multiple people. I don't really know what to expect. She has been doing a lot of why I left the left titled type interviews. I don't know, with conservatives and libertarians and whatnot. We'll just have to see. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment for more videos like this, and let's get into it.
The way I look at the Democratic Party or the left is that there is the machine that is in bed now with big business. Then there's the average Democrat. They believe in the Constitution and they believe in the Bill of Rights and everything else. And then there's this crazy left-wing Marxist, destroy it all kind of group. And that, I don't even know, maybe 8%, 10% is that.
Look, I take a little bit of issue with the use of Marxist in this context because honestly, I think that there's maybe a total of like 5. In reality, we're talking about individuals whose politics is mostly based on some fringe issue or some cultural issue. It's not just that they care about that issue, it's that they've taken that issue and they've made it part of their identity. And it's almost like what you would expect from religious zealots. And so there's a fundamentalism involved in the way that they treat these issues, and there's no room to negotiate. There's no room to maybe consider the thoughts and concerns of other individuals. And so as they become more and more kind of like authoritarian in what they demand, they are pushing people away. And there are some issues in which the rights of one group might actually end up conflicting with the rights of another group, depending on what type of legislation you're pursuing. And so, of course, this has come up with the trans issue.
Okay, there's so much to unpack here. So I consider myself to be a leftist. I guess someone like Glenn would consider me a crazy leftist, whatever. There's a lot of things that go beyond, trans rights that has made me turn into a leftist. For example, both of my parents have stage 4 cancer. Both of my parents have lost everything trying to pay for their chemotherapy. The insurance charges them over $50,000 just for chemotherapy alone. That's without all of their other medication, all of their other visits, whatever. So I think it's very disingenuous to lump people who are leftist into they're taking one fringe issue, they're turning it into their identity. They don't have the ability to speak to you about it. First of all, Anna, that's not true. Multiple people have asked you to come on their podcast so that you can talk things out. The Majority Report has, Leftist Mafia has, multiple other people have. You specifically say no. That's number one. You are unwilling to have those conversations, not the fringe left. Second of all, for you to lump in the fringe left into these crazy people that only follow identity politics is so absolutely, it's a mischaracterization and it's so disingenuous, right? Because my lived experience watching my parents live under the poverty line because they're forced to pay thousands of dollars for chemotherapy. That is my personal lived experience that has charged me to have the political beliefs that I have now. And how dare you lump all leftists in together saying, oh, identity politics, they latch onto it and then they don't want to talk about it. No, it's not that simple. It's really not. And it's just so disingenuous. It's an oversimplification of an issue that's larger and larger. And also going beyond that, Gen Zers in the younger generation in America, we are more than likely never going to be able to own a home. We live paycheck to paycheck. We struggle to put food on our table. The average American actually lives paycheck to paycheck. Over 70% of people, you either have student loan debt, medical health debt, both, or credit card debt because you literally cannot afford to put food on the table and pay your bills. And you're sitting here saying the fringe leftists are latching onto identity politics. Wow. Okay.
The rights of transgender people, particularly transgender women, start to cause some tension with the rights and freedoms of women or the perceived safety of women. Well, let's have a conversation and avoid assuming the worst of the people who want to have that conversation, right? Because I think that in a country like America, where you have so many different people with so many different backgrounds, beliefs, people of faith, the only way this works is if we respect each other and actually engage in these conversations in good faith. And I felt that the left was able to do that back in the day. And I don't know what happened, but we've moved further and further away from being able to have those conversations in good faith without assuming malice.
Once again, multiple people have politely asked her to come on on their show to talk things out. She refuses to go on their show and talk things out. She talks shit to them on Twitter, and then she only accepts, conversations on podcasts that are either right-leaning, conservative, or libertarian, or in the middle. I mean, if she actually went on some of these leftist shows and podcasts that have all invited her on and they legitimately all attacked her, and now she's only resorting to this kind of interviews, I would get it, but that's definitely not the case. She refuses to speak to anyone that's on the left, and she goes on these right-leaning podcasts and she says all this stuff. Like, I mean, you're trashing everyone, and you're not even you're saying that people aren't able to have this conversation when you literally are not fostering those conversations. I mean, like, what are you complaining about?
There's been a sea change. We're at the very beginning of it, but it's strange. I was just talking to Donald Trump a couple of days ago, and I said, I think like, of course you were. We're like the cool kids now. I've never been at the cool kids table.
This is wild. I look, I'm going to pause on saying the cool kids.
No,
but I will say this.
But we've never been even near the cool kids. We're at the, we're in the hallway of the cool kids table. You know what I mean? I know that, but we've never, and he said, YMCA. How is YMCA suddenly cool?
It's not just about that. Trump is, and the audience hates when I say this, but it's just demonstrably true. He's funny. He's an entertainer. I mean, he was an entertainer before, he was a politician, that's for sure.
That's what also causes trouble for him.
It does. It certainly does.
Yeah.
But, I think the reason why you're feeling how you're feeling about the perception of the Republican Party now versus, the Bush era.
Hang on a second. I don't want to say Republican Party because that'll never be cool. There's this new coalition of Trump, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK, Elon Musk, people that are coming from all different points of view. It's the way America that I grew up in. It's the way America was. We disagree on a lot, but we have one central vision, and that is end this corruption, end this nonsense.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, no, that's a great way of putting it.
First of all, why the fuck are you agreeing that Elon Musk and Donald Trump are anti-corruption? Because Donald Trump has been embroiled in different lawsuits that involves corruption. So I don't really, it's giving, I know what the reality is, and I'm going to turn a blind eye because I'm on this podcast and I don't want to fight. But for you to believe that Elon Musk and Donald Trump, they are the ones that are truly trying to fight corruption, if you believe that multi-billionaires and the 1% are going to fight the corruption for the little people, you are fucking stupid. If you believe a billionaire or a 1%er is ever going to give a shit about you, is ever going to give a shit about the corruption that you have to face, you are a fucking idiot, because they are literally the ones that benefit the corruption that they ensue on the poor and the working class people. So don't get me pissed off, because this shit is about to piss me off. That's number one. Number two, this is the first time I've ever been sitting with the cool kids. Oh my god, this is so cool. This isn't Republicans, this is MAGA, this is Elon Musk and Donald Trump and all these rich cool billionaires that are anti-corruption. Like, you fucking moron. This man is literally been convicted of sexual assault. He has buried his own ex-wife in his golf course so that he could save money on taxes. You are talking about a man who had sex with a porn star and then had to give her hush money so that people wouldn't find out, but either way, the whole entire world found out. If you think that is the definition of the cool kids, that's truly natural selection. I don't know what else to say. Like, and Anna's just said, oh my god, I agree. What the fuck are you agreeing with?
And my co-host, Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks, he is really trying to bring like a populist coalition of people together. Individuals, basically Americans who see the rot in our political system thanks to the corruption. It's been his top issue ever since I've met him. And so he's been trying to get money out of politics. So these politicians actually represent what the people want, as opposed to what a small group of corporate executives want. And I think that's really the key in fixing what's broken in our political system. The other thing is, I mean, look, members of Congress really should see themselves as public servants, as opposed to individuals who are elected into office just to enrich themselves.
All of them should be.
So we have to ban their ability to trade individual stocks. I mean, this is madness that they're able to do this.
Ban the trading of stocks. Do not allow them to go into any business that they had any regulation or anything for at least 10 years.
I totally agree.
This revolving door is obscene, absolutely obscene.
Okay, we can agree to that. I'm fine with agreeing with this, but once again, politicians not doing stock trading, that's not a leftist idea. idea, okay? Literally, Matt Gaetz supports that. I mean, it's something that both sides of the political spectrum agree on. So that's not some crazy leftist ideology.
The one thing that I look for in people who say, I've seen the light, is I know when I've changed. I can tell you what color the carpet was when I had that epiphany. I can tell you the time of day. I can tell you everything about that moment because it was like, holy mother, I'm wrong. And time stopped and you remember it.
Right.
If you're sincere.
I don't think that's necessarily true. I think for some people, change comes slowly.
I think we might be saying similar things because it's not, the heavens didn't open up.
Right.
You all of a sudden go, I can't do this. I can't say this anymore. So was there a time? Yes, it happened slowly, but was there a moment that changed you and said, I can't do this anymore. I can't do it anymore.
I mean, I was sexually assaulted by a homeless guy.
Oh,
right?
okay.
Yeah, I was sexually assaulted by a homeless guy in Los Angeles in my neighborhood as I was walking my dog.
Oh my gosh.
And it was awful. I mean, I've talked about it multiple times. And look, I don't want to put myself in this position of being like this victim who's looking for empathy, but it is the moment where something very scary happened to me. And it wasn't just that had happened to me. It was the reaction I received from a faction of the left, okay? The social justice left, if you want to call it that, who think that, in some cases, the criminals are actually the victims and the victims are the criminals. Like, it's insane. And I don't know how big this faction is, but they're loud enough to push me away completely. And so it wasn't that had happened to me. It was the reaction of the left and how they were far more concerned with me talking about it because they felt that was stigmatizing the homeless community. I have never gone out of my way to say negative things about homeless people. I mean, people who are living out on the streets are, in a lot of cases, victims who need help, right?
Yes.
But I was victimized by a guy that was strung out on something, could have been meth, he was jerking around as he was walking toward me with his buddy. And
gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. But it took a while for me to get over that because I still have to walk my dog. And so multiple times a day, I literally have to think about that incident. And so I thought maybe it would help to talk about it. And then when I did talk about it, I totally regretted it because I was shocked at the way people reacted to me.
So I've talked about this before, so I'm going to keep this part of my response short. I'm not saying my experience was the exact same with Anna's, but I was walking home from school one day and I was actually robbed. I was robbed. The robbers were following me on my walk back home. I was walking alone and they stopped me and they forced me to give them my phone and then they ran off. And honestly, it was one of the most scariest experiences. Like for 3 months after that, whenever I was walking, I would continuously look behind my back because I was so scared. But the thing is, that experience didn't necessarily change my outlook on my politics because I understand that there are always going to be bad actors in any society. We're all humans. This has been historically true. We've always been violent. I guess you could say animals. I mean, humans are technically animals, right? But when you look at the history of humanity, the past couple of thousands years, we've always been at war. We've always been fighting each other. There was never a kumbaya moment between all humans across the world, okay? we have never been the type to we've always been in wars. We've always been fighting. We've always been wanting to conquer more land. That's just humans, right? Anna obviously very bravely opened up about this on social media. That's not an easy thing to do. There's a lot of stigma against women who are sexually assaulted, sexually abused, whatever you want to call it. But at the same time, I don't think the responses of a group of people should change your complete political outlook on something. You know what I mean? Right now it's this whole thing of I personally went through this experience and due to what random people responding to my assault in such a poor way, I had this light bulb moment where I changed my politics. I don't think that's fair, but I still want to be very empathetic towards what she went through because obviously that's scary and that's not okay and no one should go through that. And I am one to always say that because I'm personally a survivor. I had to go through years of therapy for the assault that I went through. But at the same time, it's just you can't sit here and blame and coop up all leftists into one little box and say, well, they all wanted me to do this, that, and the third, and therefore I changed my politics. That's not fair. You know what I mean? The generalization isn't in good faith, in my opinion.
That moment taught me was some of the characteristics of the quote unquote left that I thought were good, right? The kindness, the open-mindedness, the willingness to go out of your way to look out for people who need help, that kind of stuff. There's a portion of the left that has shed those characteristics. They've taken on a more nihilistic approach to things, and they don't even believe in reforms. They just believe that everything about every political system, every program we have, every institution we have is just worthless and we need to burn it all down. So that nihilistic nature, I think, leads to a lot of really bad ideas and terrible behavior online, and that's pushing people out. I mean, you look at places like Los Los Angeles, for instance, right? Or Cook County, which is where Chicago is. I paid very close attention to Cook County and what the election results were going to be in Cook County, because you have an influx of migrants going to Chicago. You have a lot of anger among the Black community in Chicago because they've been nickel and dimed by their local government. And at the same time, their mayor, Brandon Johnson, is doling out the cash for migrants. I'm watching all of this happen, and I'm just like, Democrats need to wake up, because more and more voters feel like they're being abandoned by the Democratic Party, economically speaking. And everyone got mad at me.
Yeah, so I think the reason why people got mad at you is because you're speaking for Black people in Cook County. If the Black community in Cook County is really that mad at their government, let them speak up for themselves. Literally, you live in LA. You're not touching grass. You're looking at these election results, and you're using the election results as some sort of scapegoat for your own political ideology. Like, that's not fair. The Black community is really upset in Cook County that the government is spending so much money on immigrants, then let them advocate for it. Amplify their voices. Don't use that as a scapegoat for your own ideology, your own political ideology, right? I mean, I think that's pretty common sense, no?
Oh, you're anti-immigrant. I'm not anti-immigrant. I'm not anti-immigrant.
Immigrants built this country.
Yes, my parents are immigrants.
Yes.
Okay, I am not anti-immigrant, but I do have a problem with the Biden administration neglecting the border, pretending like there wasn't a migrant crisis at all, allowing these municipalities to be inundated with migrants without any federal resources to deal with the problem. And what, we're going to pretend like that's not going to cause electoral harm? Of course it is.
I'm seeing a lot of immigrants do this, or child of immigrants do this, especially on the left, and it's really starting to piss me the fuck off. It's the same rhetoric. I'm the child of immigrants, but my family did it the right way. My family didn't take resources from the government. These people, they're cutting the line. I'm not saying this is what Anna is saying, right? I'm just saying this is the rhetoric that I'm hearing from people who use this kind of ideology. These people are coming. They're not waiting in line the way that my parents did. They're coming into this country. They're crossing the border. Da 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 da. First of all, this whole migrant, like, it's always been a thing, and the reason why we have a migrant crisis is because we don't have pathways to citizenship the way that we did 30, 40 years ago. For example, when my father came to America, it was very easy for an Iranian to come to America and just pursue college and go to university. It was extremely easy. It was like cake. Literally, you just signed up and you would come. That doesn't exist for a lot of people anymore. It's not a thing. And so when we're talking about this border crisis or whatever, we need to understand that these pathways to citizenships that we had for such a long time have been closing slowly by the decades. You know what I mean?
And look, I can definitely be honest about my own flaws and my own mistakes, because I bought the mainstream media narrative that there wasn't a migrant crisis.
Really?
And yeah, I did believe it. I believe, because look, I was an idiot, because I mean, who do you trust in today's media landscape, right? There's a lot of liars out there.
Yeah,
and when it comes to mainstream media, the fact of the matter is they do play defense more and more for the Democratic Party. And that's an issue, because there was a time when that didn't happen. And so I still believed in their good faith reporting, even though it turns out, a lot of these reports would omit really important details about what's really going on. And so it wasn't until Texas Governor Greg Abbott started busing or sending migrants to blue cities where that woke me up. That woke a lot of people up.
You didn't realize that there was a migrant crisis until it started coming into your backyard, and then you started having a problem with it? I don't get it. I don't understand. I'm confused, babe. But also, you're so angry at undocumented immigrants that you completely botch the Venezuelan gangs are overtaking apartments, right? You and Jank both completely botched that reporting. More so you, but Jank as well. I have another video about that coming out too, about how they reported on that. But here's the thing. When Ukraine was invaded, we allowed hundreds and thousands of Ukrainians to come into this country. But the only difference was we opened a pathway to citizenship for them. And what a lot of people don't talk about is that they actually got a lot of the benefits that other migrants are getting, except for theirs was a lot better streamlined, right? So they started getting Social Security benefits, Medicaid benefits. They got a streamlined process to get their green card as well as citizenship. And I'm talking about hundreds and thousands of people going on this government assistant pathway that they created specifically for Ukrainian migrants. So you're sitting here and you're like, oh, these migrants are taking away our benefits. These migrants are this. Are you racist? Because America did the same thing for Ukrainians. But the only difference was that they built a pathway for their citizenship. They used up a lot of our government funding for Ukrainians. They just didn't publicize it as much as they publicized, oh my God, Greg Abbott is putting undocumented people on buses and sending them to blue cities. This, to me, screams racism. That's just my personal opinion. You don't have to agree with it.
You're seeing migrants sleeping on the floor in the police department in Chicago because they don't have shelter for these people.
So it is a regular thing in more specifically Republican states like Kentucky or Texas for foster children to be sleeping in the government offices, in hotels, or churches, because lack of funding means that hundreds of children have to sleep in hotels, churches, or office floors, right? So this issue of migrants sleeping in police offices and stuff like that, this isn't new, and it's not only exclusive to migrants. It's exclusive to many people who have been failed by our government systems, including our very own American foster children. So once again, I've never heard her speak about this. You know, I'm just saying, a lot of people latch on to certain political beliefs because they want to make it seem like their political opinion is right, when in reality, like, there's duality in everything, and Anna seriously lacks that duality.
When you look at the conditions that people are living in a Democrat-controlled state, well, yeah, you can understand why people are turning their backs on the Democratic Party. You can understand why people are frustrated at the corruption, at the loss of $24 billion that was allocated to help the homeless, when homelessness only exploded during that time, and that money is now unaccounted for. It was funneled to nonprofits whose executives get paid minimum $250,000 a year.
Okay, so California passed something called Prop 47, and Prop 47 is essentially a bill that prioritizes rehabilitation over mass incarceration, right? So they take money that they would have spent on mass incarceration, they put it into rehabilitative programs to help people who were just incarcerated get back on their feet out in the streets, or go through, drug rehab programs, or, get some sort of working skills so that they could go back into society, whatever the situation might be. All you have to do is search Prop 47 success, and you will see how successful Prop 47 was in general. Prop 47 delivered nearly $1 billion to California communities. It's been almost 10 years since Prop 47 was on the California ballot. Since its passing in 2014, Prop 47 has reduced California's unconstitutional prison overcrowding and, in the process, saved the state nearly $1 billion. Prop 47 netted savings by changing certain low-level offenses such as drug possession and theft of property valued under $950 from potential felonies to misdemeanors. California has reinvested these savings into communities for education, trauma recovery services, housing, employment, mental health, and substance use treatment programs, becoming a critical fund for public services. And you can look at all these statistics. Prop 47 was a huge success within California. Now, am I saying that the homeless population didn't expand in the past couple of years? Yes, of course. This isn't a perfect, it's not an end all be all. It's a bandage towards a situation, right? But once again, you're leaving very crucial parts of the success that California has had with rehabilitative programs out in your conversation, and you're narrating in a way where it benefits you. By the way, this is all public information. Like, you could literally Google it. Yeah, I just feel like it's starting to become a whole lot of nothing. I kind of want to see what the comments say, though. Seeing Anna genuinely smiling and laughing while having a conversation with Glenn Beck is truly surreal. The best possible way. Wow, I've been blackpilled for quite a while. We need more of this kind of thing. This gives me hope. What an amazing conversation between two people that don't always agree. Wow, it seems like a lot of people are supportive. I mean, listen, I do believe that conversations between different sides of the spectrum should happen more often in a respectful way. And I do believe that Anna is particularly good at doing that. Where we start seeing a lot of the friction is that she is willing to have these conversations with people on the right, and she's not willing to have these conversations with people on the left, or people who are more so leaning on her side, as she proclaims. And then she gives Republicans a lot of grace. Not sure why that is, not sure why she does that. I think that's where a lot of the issue lies here. Thank you so much for watching my YouTube channel. My name is Ariana Jasmine. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment for more videos like this, and I'll see you guys next time.